let's shift gears and talk a little bit about the NFL news of the week that opened the week. And that was of the man Justin Jefferson signing a massive 4-year, 35 mil per year, 89 guaranteed at signing, 110 guarantees total, breaking the bank in half and punting it through the goalposts in the wide receiver market, and what that means for Jamar Chase. For a little bit of reference here, and I wrote about this, and so did Jay. I hope you go read both of our stories about this. But the money was not surprising to anyone around the league. I mean, everybody knew he was going to break the bank. Everybody knew Minnesota booted Kirk Cousins to pay Justin Jefferson as much as they needed to, and they're taking advantage of having a rookie quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, right? I mean, this is what you can do when you switch. The decision to switch from Cousins to McCarthy is we have a better chance with McCarthy and Jefferson than Cousins and whoever else we throw together. And so that means giving Justin what he wants, and he got it all. Yeah. Because the surprising part of this to those around the league, and certainly that will leave an imprint on the Bengals conversations with Jamar Chase, was that 89 number. 89 fully guaranteed at signing. Ink dry 89 mil. The previous high for a wide receiver fully guaranteed at signing was 52. 5-2 for Tyreek Hill. I mean, that was a structural game changer.
Yeah.
And we know the Bengals don't enjoy those structural game changers. They don't enjoy those guarantees. That's it. Oh, the ugly G. No one wants the ugly G number, right? That's not they have learned many ways to get around it and throw all kinds of early cash and all this. And I don't want to bore people with contract structural talk too much, because people just want to know the same thing. Jay, is Jamar still coming here? Is Jamar still going to be here with Burrow forever? And I don't think that changed with this. But I do think that it kind of cements that this deal probably doesn't get done until August of 2025.
No,
because now the Bengals are in no rush, and the top of that market ain't changing anytime soon, because no one is going to approach that Jefferson figure. I don't think CeeDee Lamb will, except for Jamar. And so the Bengals can wait as long as they want to on that. That's who they've been. They did it with A.J. Green right before getting on the bus in 2015 to go to Oakland. They did it with Joe Burrow right at the kickoff of Chiefs-Lions last year, sending all of us into a frenzy at 50 West trying to write about it to the last instant of the possible deadline there. So that feels like, because of those guarantees and how hard they might have to go back and forth to work through those, it really feels like 2025 to me now.
Yeah, for sure. I can't see it happening this year. My question is it definite 2025? Could they let him just play the 5th year and then maybe do what they did with T and franchise him in 2026? That would be far cheaper than whatever a big extension would be. I mean, I don't know where they are in the talks now, how far down the road they are. But you mentioned it, they're not comfortable with that kind of guaranteed money. I wonder, it sounds crazy, but can they afford it? I mean, they went and got naming rights so they could put the money in escrow for Burrow's guarantees. I don't know what they've kept that secret, what that naming rights deal was, but do they have to do more work to get some more cash on hand to put in escrow to give? I mean, because even if it's not 110 or 89, it's still going to be a lot. It's still going to be way more than they're used to giving. And I wonder if, I mean, the Bengals have not been shy about making their superstars or not their big guys uncomfortable or unhappy. They did it with Jesse Bates. They're doing it with T. Higgins. They did it with Jonah Williams last year. You know, is this going to be a fight with Jamar, or is it something that's going to get done in 2025 at some point, and you just sit back and say, okay, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. Is it in March? Is it in before the start of training camp? Is it as they're getting on the bus to go to the season opener, or like Burrow last year, the Thursday before the season opener? I think it gets done at some point next year, but I do wonder if it's more of a fight than maybe we think. If it seems like an obvious rubber stamp just to extend that guy and give him. You got the template already with Justin Jefferson. Leapfrog him a little bit, or if Jamar doesn't have a great year this year, then you come in a little under Jefferson's number. But the Bengals have not been afraid of doing that in the past, and really, really negotiating hard and fighting these guys.
Jay, they got cash, man. They got cash. What are we talking about? They are swimming in cash. All right. I know. Small market. This team has played like a big market. They've had a team like a big market. They have sold like a big market. And I know that they've had to spend. They're spending on this and that and whatever. They have cash. Putting whatever guarantees they want. They don't have to go so far as to go 89, 110 million guarantee. Look, when they signed Orlando Brown, they front loaded it with $33.8 million in just straight cash off the boat, man. Like, here, duffel bag, right? I mean, and then the next year, the cash number was 8, because that's how you get around having to do the guarantee number. Just give them the money, right? And they can find ways to do that. They have years to plan this out. They've plotted this out since the beginning of the Burrow negotiation. They know what they're doing here. They know how to do it. I don't think that this changes. They can find ways around that and still guarantee some, if that's what it's going to be about. And they might have to finagle. I don't see a franchise. You get to a franchise tag, and you've now given the 5th-year option in 2025 of 21.9. That's fully guaranteed. And then a franchise tag, which with all the contracts that were just signed receiver, is going to be way higher than 21.9 that year. You're looking at about 50 million. You're just guaranteeing over 2 years right then anyway. So to me, I just think that they have a deal that they can make. They know they can make it. They're going to extend it out to see however they can shift it to their advantage. I'm not saying it's impossible it gets done this year. There could be very much be advantages that they foresee in however they decided they needed to structure it, or how that works for them. I don't know. It's not impossible. I just think history and the fact that the market is now going to stabilize around Jamar Chase suggests that they wait, and because there's no reason for them to go. The only reason for them to hurry up was to get in before Jefferson, and that was never going to happen. Hell yeah, I'm waiting.
That's right.
We know what it was, and they knew what it was, and so now it shifts the other way. Now it shifts over to the other side of the Bengals. Say, hell yeah, we're waiting. We got no reason to go. If you want to sign now, if you don't want to have to worry about a potential of an injury this year or whatever, changing things, then you can give up X, Y, or Z, and we'll do it now. Otherwise, we're happy to do it next year, like the vast, vast majority of these deals get done, which is before your 5th-year option season. That has been the history. That's where they all have gotten done. It's changed this year as people tried to get in front of Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle, both got in front of the 4th year and a 5th-year option season. The other two top 10 receivers, but it very much feels like now the Eagles, who always go in early, and Miami trying to get ahead of Jefferson to make sure they didn't get caught up in whatever the Jefferson tax is kind of being discussed now that you have to pay by coming afterwards because the market's different. So I just think everything's kind of set now. It's not out of the question, but I don't think it jeopardized him being here. Burrow, Chase, package deal, they know that this is what you have to build around, and they're going to build around it. It's the reason that they've taken the approach they have with T. I don't have any. I'm not saying 0% chance, but I don't have any concern about there being a massive blow up with Chase like we've seen happen with T. I think the plan is to keep Burrow and Chase together through Chase's prime. If they could sign Chase through 2029 and have them both expire together, that might be the way they would go and say, hey, how about let's go through 2029 and take shot after shot after shot with these two, because one of these times that's going to be enough. And I think that's their view of it.
I wonder what, not the money, not the guaranteed, the average per year. I wonder what's in Jamar and his agent's head year-wise. Do you want the massive 5-year, or do you want a 3-year so you can take another big bite at this right before that 2029 season? And I think that's the way it's going to end up. And I'm not worried about them keeping Jamar here long term. I'm just worried about them messing around and saying, look, this is our offer. If you don't like it, then we'll just 5th year, or we'll just franchise tag you the following season. And I think that would be different, because I don't think, like, T's made decent money here, but he doesn't have the leverage to say he's not going to sign the tag and just sit out. If Jamar gets franchise tagged, he will already have had, like you said, he will have already made that $21.9 million in his 5th year, plus everything he made, look, 30-some million he made before that. He could play hardball and sit out and not sign the tag. I just don't want to see them mess around. You got to get it done before the 2025 season. I think they will. And I'm with you. I don't think it's a 0% chance they do it this year, but I'd be really surprised. I think both sides have something to gain by waiting and letting this season play itself out.
And my prediction on it, if anybody cares, he will top Jefferson in average annual value. I think they will give him the cash. Yeah. They will give him the cash in exchange for the guarantees being far less, right? It'll be cash up front. We're going to make you that. And guess what? The percentage of the cap will be less, because the cap is going to spike again next year. So potentially you're talking about it. Not, I think average annual value will end up higher than 35. I think it'll be what? It'll be 35.00001 or something. It'll be just over, basically giving him essentially the same deal, but with less guarantees. But he can say he's the highest paid receiver in the history of football, and the Bengals can say they have the QB and the top receiver, and build from there. I think that's how it ends. But again, we only have like 14 more months to discuss that, so we'll make sure we save it. Or maybe it happens tomorrow, Jay.
Oh, God.
Tune in. Yeah. Okay.
I will say there's 0% chance of that.
Yeah. We should run pass or boot.
Sure.
There's a run pass or boot. I think in this area, we've got what happens first. Jamar extension, Evan McPherson extension, or T signs with another team.
I'm gonna boot Jamar extension, because I think it's 2025, and I think it's late in 20. I think this goes down to the wire right before the 2025 season starts. There's gonna be a lot of back and forth. I'll run with Evan McPherson. It just makes too much sense. It's like the contract's already written. You see where all these kickers are. It's you kind of know what it's going to be. You got the money to do it. I think they're. I don't know why wait. I would be surprised if they don't get him done before the start of training camp. Or maybe they do it next week in minicamp and send him into the 6-week break with a nice big bump. But that's an automatic one. So I'll put T in the middle there. To run with McPherson, pass on T, and boot Jamar.
I agree. I think Evan is an easy move to do. Very Logan Wilson-y, if you will, from last year. Right? It was just, man, this guy's good. You know what it's going to cost. It's good for everybody. Wants to be here. You want him here. Drafted player. I think that's a simple one too. I'm with you. Yeah, and I think next March, T will get paid handsomely by some other team. And so I think that's where the probabilities lie at this point.